absolutely have a role to play in ensuring our health system and our paramedics are not waiting thousands of hours outside of hospitals instead of responding to priority cases right across the community. The ambulance ramping crisis is twofold. Not only is it holding up our patients outside of emergency departments, but it also hampers response times for patients when they are calling 000 across the community.
The ambulance services agreement, should that be made public?
We need to see much more transparency when it comes to the ambulance services agreement. We are seeing a lack of transparency under the Cook Labor government. The only reason we know the ambulance ramping figures is because they are provided by St John Ambulance after the WA Labor government refused to provide such figures.
What's a fair rate of pay for, and what conditions should be improved for the ambulance service?
Well, one of the most basic conditions is an improvement in our health system to ensure that ambulance officers can get on with doing their job, which is responding to emergencies in the field instead of waiting for thousands of hours outside our emergency departments.
What sort of message do you think it sends to younger people who may want to join the ambulance force, and doesn't this send a negative message?
Well, the Cook Labor government are just not making health a priority, and our hearts go out to Western Australian patients who ultimately are paying the price for the Cook Labor government's failure to address this issue.
Just on the Welcome to Country, Peter Dutton's comments on Sunday night, where do you stand on the number of Welcome to Countries that are held at events?
Look, those comments were made by Peter Dutton. Our focus, and my focus in particular, is on this critical issue surrounding ambulance ramping and issues impacting the health system.
But surely you have a view on whether or not there's too many, there's the right amount?
Well, look, our focus is on state matters, and in particular the ambulance ramping crisis, which is crippling our health system, impacting patients and healthcare workers.
Can I ask you a question about rental affordability? The Anglicare data today showing that there's just no rooms, no places to rent for young people on job seeker or youth allowance. The government's not doing enough to make places more affordable to improve housing supply?
Well, quite clearly there is a massive issue with supply of housing across Western Australia, which is having an impact on rental affordability. The housing crisis has not just become an issue in the last 12 months. It has been a number of issues which have been ignored by the Cook Labor government over many years during the largest boom our state has ever seen. The Cook Labor government have failed to make housing a priority. The WA Liberals, together with the National Party, are focused on this issue as well as other key issues across the state.
The major parties have touched on this issue during the federal election. Have either of them offered any real substantive policies at this rate?
Look, I'm here talking about state issues, but quite clearly this is an issue at a state level and at a federal level, and the Cook Labor government have failed to address this issue during the largest boom our state has ever seen.
Margaret River is not in your electorate of that, but
No.
Can I ask you about Madeline King's comments that a nuclear power station in Collie will have a detrimental effect on the Margaret River wine industry? Hundreds of kilometres away.
Yes. Look, I'm not. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of those comments made by Madeline King. But what I am aware of with what has been proposed by the Liberal Party at a federal level is that there will be much work undertaken across the state in terms of public consultation. At a state level, we had our own energy policy which was focused on ensuring that we have more gas in the market, given the significant challenges we have going forward with blackouts under the Cook Labor government.
Her comments though were more that there would have some, because it was just there, it would have some detrimental effect that people would lose confidence in Margaret River wine, as though there's some
I
of the
Look, I believe that is a stretch, and we have seen in many wine growing regions across the world that there has been a range of different energy uses, including nuclear energy alongside wine growing countries. But look, that they are comments that have been made in the federal sphere, and I'll leave it at that. Our policy at the state election and our focus going forward is in ensuring that there is reliable and affordable energy for our state. The Cook Labor government have pointed to blackouts being part and parcel under WA Labor at a state level, which is very concerning.
Where do you see the race? Where do you see the... Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, the winemaking in your family, have you heard any concerns within either the family or those circles about the nuclear plant being...
I have not heard those concerns. The concerns I hear is about reliable and affordable energy going forward. At a state level, Roger Cook has pointed to blackouts being part and parcel of a government he leads. There is very real concern about reliable and affordable energy going forward.
Where do you see the race in Forest? I think Bass is part of Forest. Is Ben Small under threat from a deal independent?
Well, Ben Small has a very clear and strong position in relation to a number of issues which have strong support across the southwest community. In particular, his opposition to Labor's proposed offshore wind farm, and his support, or should I say support for WA farmers, and opposition to Labor's proposed live export ban as well. His support for the Busselton Airport expansion project has also gained much support across the community, given that this project, which was initiated under the former Liberal National Government, has been very successful, and we only have a tin shed terminal thanks to Roger Cook.
A lot of support's in that answer though. Do you think he's got enough support in Forest to get over the line?
Look, I know that Ben Small isn't taking the voters of Forest for granted, and I know he's working very hard on the ground. He is highlighting cost of living, housing, and a number of key issues for that community. His opposition to the Southwest Wind Farm, is supported by Labor, has also garnered a lot of support across the community as well. And he's been working very hard, making a number of local announcements as well.
It would be a remarkably low point for the party if it was to lose a safe seat like Forest, though, to a tier.
Look, he has a lot of support across the community, and I would be confident that he will be elected as a new member for Forest on the weekend, though he is not taking the seat of Forest for granted, nor is any Liberal, and he's certainly working very hard across that seat.
Have you joined him on the hustings?
Yes, I was. I was representing him at pre-poll, and have certainly been supporting him as a fellow Liberal in that seat.
What's the vibe on pre-poll?
Oh, look, we see there's a lot of concern about Labor's proposed offshore wind farm and Labor's support and the Teal's support for the offshore wind farm. There is also a lot of support for our farmers, and we want to see them supported. The live export ban debacle has been a real challenge. And it's going to be a tough fight, and I know Ben's not taking it for granted.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.